Welcome back. Today on Cherry Picking, we're gonna be working on the 69 Mustang. Now, I know in the last video, I probably said something like, oh, I don't know when I'm gonna work on this. I just wanna get it registered first and I'm gonna take it to the DMV. And well, that's all true. But I decided, since I have this nice, beautiful weekend where it had stormed all of yesterday, and now it seems like it won't rain, that I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing running. Let's see if it can run. First things first though, I actually wanna get this thing out of here. We've got a flat tire. The tire that I put on last time is flat, and we've still got a locked up brake. Now I'm hoping I can fix that by pulling the car backwards. So let's put a new tire on. And as you might be able to tell, it's gonna be the old school Krager GT. These were the same ones that I had on the wagon for a while before I put the Magnum 500s, which will be going on this car. I just have to figure out a tire situation first. But for now, that tire holds air, so we're gonna put it on this. We'll just take this Mustang wheel off, or Cougar, or whatever it actually is, and yeah. Well, looks like I may have been the one that caused it to be flat. I guess dragging it from the backyard didn't do it any favors. Clearly the rubber was all but gone. Oops. Now I know pretty much for a fact that the only reason this drum is locked up is because, well, the parking brake's been on for the past 20 years. So hopefully I'm gonna bang it around a bit, and if it doesn't break loose from banging around a bit, hopefully dragging it backwards will kind of give some release on the brake enough to be able to pull it forwards. Because if not, we're gonna have to just take off the drum, I guess. So let's bang on it. Cover your ears. I really just need to get a wheel on it and pull it backwards. Straddle, okay, how easily? Well, that's not good. Parking brakes, not even stuck. Oh boy. I guess I could take off some of this pine needle crap. It's covering the window and the trunk. Just take all this off. Well, this kind of sucks. I was really hoping that would just pop loose, but nothing can be easy. Okay, it's been a few hours, quite a few actually. It rained. Anyways, what I have here is a brake spoon, and I have a bunch of these, and these are really useful for drum brakes because this is how you adjust your lower spreader that adjusts your drum brakes. And so what I thought I'm going to try to do is actually loosen the adjuster, because I did find out that the cable itself is not what's stuck. It's completely movable and it goes in and out just fine. I'm able to pull on it actually, and it moves. So the shoes themselves are just rusted to the drum, which means this really shouldn't be that hard considering nothing else is rusty here, and this isn't an issue I normally deal with in the desert. So hopefully it's not too bad, but I'm going to try to adjust it, and hopefully that's enough to get it to budge a little bit and break loose. Let's see if that wheel moves. You're gonna have to watch it for me because I don't know if I can see it. All right, it rolls. Well, I guess that's all it took. See you next time. No, I'm just kidding. I think I'm gonna have to pull this out front for tonight and start tearing it apart so that tomorrow we can get it fixed, I guess. All right.
Actually, probably won't be easy to turn.
Okay.
Straight now?
Straight?
Straight now.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got my mirror.
Alright, you can turn again.
Tight.
Turn.
I'm turned.
No, turn the other way. Stop!
Okay, well, we got everything moved and pulled this thing and kind of blocked it on both sides. And sun is basically down. It actually went down a lot sooner today than I expected, which is weird because I feel like the past few days it's been up real late, but guess not today. So we'll get working on taking everything off this tomorrow. It's gonna be interesting because it's full of pine needles and can't see a lot of stuff. So I'll see you tomorrow when we're hopefully fixing this thing and getting it running. Oh, good morning. It's the next morning and it's a nice, bright, beautiful morning. It's not raining. There's dogs barking in the background and birds chirping. It's a wonderful day. So, why don't we just go ahead and ruin it? Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and take off the top end off this thing and put it back on. We're gonna hope it goes well, and we're gonna cry when it doesn't. But it'll be okay, because, well, I don't know. Anyways, today is actually St. Patrick's Day, and I just realized I'm not wearing any green, but don't worry, I'll be wearing this shortly enough. So let's take a peep under here and get a gauge of what we're looking at and what we need to tackle. Probably need to scooch that car back. Okay, yep, still there. So as you can see, there is a motor in there, and it's pretty nasty looking. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's oily, it's real nasty. We've got what appears to be an original Motorcraft or Autolite carb. And the nice part about this is that, well, a third of this has already been done. And a third of it as in somebody already started taking it apart. The exhaust is off, the manifolds are off, and the spark plug wires are taken off, and well, that's about it. And then I'll throw up the time lapse and we'll rip everything out of here. Well, I was in the middle of taking things off, and I moved the heater hoses that are right here, and noticed all this crap, and then there he is. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little night lizard. There he is right there, moving around. He was just hiding in there. So I pretty much got everything off except for the 2 bolts in the front accessories. I'm thinking I'm just gonna undo those bolts because that's all that holds it onto the head. And then I just have the valve covers in the intake and I'm done. So let's keep going. All right, they're loose. That was easy enough. Okay, well, as you may or may not be able to tell, it's pretty sludgy down there, but it actually doesn't look too bad. It's definitely not the worst I've ever seen, although, let's see. I think I see a problem. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, I guess not. No, that's correct. Thought I had a chip piston. This side seems to be okay. I don't see any major head gasket issues. So, maybe it's on the other side. I don't know. Okay. Let's.
We have to drive the motor out too.
Why? If it's bad? Like
If it's rusty.
the head's bad, or the? Oh, you're saying inside.
Yeah, we haven't seen inside of it. I mean, nothing's been done to this since 2005, and I don't know how much damage might have been done.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know why you didn't get the head bolts out.
Okay, well, I think we found part of the issue. Two of these things are not like the other two. If you can tell, the gasket is completely oblonged at the bottom of the center two. What we think happened is that the 3 bolts here towards the back of the bottom of the head were loosened for some reason. They were really loose when I undid them, so that would probably be an issue. So I guess we found that. Cylinder walls look okay, they don't look rusty, so that's good. Well, we got the heads off, and it looks fine, it looks good. We can tell that we had a blown head gasket, so that's good. Although I'm curious to see if there's any other spots. Actually, nope. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but definitely had a blown head gasket. So now we're gonna clean everything up in here, make sure there's no rust inside the cylinder walls, get the entire gasket surfaces clean, clear, ready to go. We'll vacuum up all the crap, and then we'll hopefully find some old head gaskets, put the heads back on, clean them up a little bit, put them back on, and just keep going. Put on the intake and find gaskets for that. A whole bunch of stuff. As you probably saw in the time lapse, I was cleaning up these heads, and I actually decided to do the valve stem seals because, well, I found a set when I was looking through all the gaskets. So I did all the valve stem seals on this one head, and I cleaned it up, and I got all the surfaces pretty much clean. The intake surface probably needs to be cleaned a little bit more, but basically all the surfaces are clean, as well as all the surfaces on the block. Okay, well, it's been a week. Had work, couldn't get this thing done. Wanted to start on it yesterday, but of course it started raining again and windy, and it's pretty windy now if you can't tell. I don't know if the sound is gonna be messed up, so I apologize if it is, but we're gonna continue on. First thing I'm gonna do is take this intake back off, clean it up a little bit, and just throw a quick coat of paint on it. I know I said I wasn't gonna paint anything, but I'm not gonna do a nice paint job on it. I'm just gonna do a quick few coats. I probably won't even clean it super well. I'm not worried about this thing looking super nice at the moment because this motor's not gonna stay in here, but I do want it to look a little bit less dirty. So I will throw a couple quick coats of paint on it, nothing crazy. Probably not even gonna prep it very well. But what I am gonna do and show you is we're gonna finally torque these head bolts. I got this torque wrench here. It's a Proto. It's been sitting outside for probably about 5 to 10 years. So, you know, but it actually is in great shape, and I did test it. and it tests very accurately. So we're gonna trust it. Plus it's the only one that I can find. So we're gonna use this guy. Okay, so we're at the point of torquing all these bolts down, and I am just grabbing some oil that I had left over. It's just 30, it's not even a mixed weight. It is just standard conventional oil. And I'm just using it to go ahead and lubricate the threads. None of these bolts go into water jackets, from what I can tell. So I don't need to worry about sealing them, but we do want to oil them and make sure they get proper torque. So I'm just going to basically take every bolt out that I'd already started a little bit, put some oil on it, and put it back in, and then we'll torque it up. Okay, so I've got every single one oiled, and I'm gonna go ahead and just run it down, zip them down with the impact. Now I'm just getting it down. I'm not tightening them at all, except for that one. Don't worry about that one. And we're gonna go ahead and start. The order that I found online is starting from the middle, working your way to the right, and then back to the left, and then right, then left. And starting from the topmost, doing top middle, and then going right to the top right, bottom right, and then left. Same way all the way around. Working your way up from 55 and then to 65, and then finally we'll do it to 95. So we'll start with 55, which is pretty light, and already hit it pretty easily. Okay, that's all the 55s. And now we're gonna go ahead and move this up to 65. So we're gonna loosen it and go up to 60 and to 65. Okay. 90 is gonna be hard on back there. And there's 65. And now we're gonna go up to 95, and that'll be it. Okay, that's all of the head bolts. Torqued to spec, we think. I'm gonna double check it with a beam wrench off camera, make sure it's all correct. Only because that torque wrench has been sitting outside for like 10 years. Now the wind's starting to pick up, but next you're gonna see is all the front accessories coming off this thing. So let's do that. Well, it's another week later. I really hate that this has taken basically 3 weeks, but from not being able to get the parts and gaskets I needed to the weather, because it rained yesterday and the day before, and luckily I have today off. But we're basically gonna take off all the front accessories right now, get everything off so that we can change the water pump as well as spray paint the front of the motor, and then put it all back on. This pulley off. Well, there goes that. And there goes the pulley, which, there goes the belts. These belts are still usable, but they're definitely not great. They were rusted on, but that's all right. Oh yeah, real glad I'm changing the water pump. That is really, oh crap, that's tight. Sometimes you just got to make those decisions while you're in there. Even though it sucks to have to take off all this front stuff and paint the motor, even though we weren't going to, we're just gonna get running. This water pump would not have lasted. It's a goner. So I'm glad I'm taking this all off. Oh yeah, super full of rust. Okay, we're just gonna lay the power steering straight forward. Holy crap. Oh, that one was tiny. Okay, I think that's all of them. Yep. Ew. That may have not worked even if we wanted it to. Probably stop there. I don't know. I got to get this broken bolt out of here, which is not going to be fun, and then I'll clean up all the surfaces and then paint everything. So I'm going to do that now. No, it's blue. It's engine enamel. It's what the color of the intake is, just so that it'll match. Okay, welcome back. Well, I guess for you it's only been, I don't know, a minute or a second. But for me, it's actually been a few months. Got busy with work, had other things come up, couldn't work on this guy. But we are back. It is now, I think, mid-June, so it is 100 degrees outside right now. I have an easy up set up because it is so hot, and as you can see, I'm in kind of a weird location. We're in dirt now, so yeah, that's cool. But by the end of this weekend, this thing's gonna run. I had to wait on some things. Water pump bolts, had to order a new set because I could have found some, but they're so cheap. I just got a new set. Ended up, ow, keep hitting my head on that. Pulling these exhaust manifolds off of the other 351 motor that I have that is actually more date code correct for this car. It's off of a Cougar. It's just a 2-barrel 351 motor. But these were on it and they were in good shape. I just threw a light coat of paint, barely even cleaned them, but just threw a coat of paint just so they weren't so nasty because this thing didn't have exhaust manifolds. So we have to put these on. We have our water pump that can finally go on. We got oil and an oil filter. So just Motorcraft FL1A, the right one, I guess. And as you can tell, wearing my Gasoline Forever shirt today to really get in the spirit of this 69 Mach 1 running, hopefully by tomorrow or Sunday. Today's Friday, so I have 3 days to get it running. Well, it's been a while. Not for you, for me. For you, it's only been a split second. For me, it's been a few months. I don't actually know where I left off video-wise, but I do know where I left off on the fact that this thing is not running yet. It's been a while because I've been dealing with work and just really haven't had a lot of time. I've been trying to make time to come out here and work on stuff, and I have done some stuff off camera, not much, but a few things because, well, I mean, if you don't work on it, no work is getting done, so got to put a little bit into it at a time, and that's what I'm doing. But the reason that I'm back now, of all reasons, is because I finally have some open weekends, and I have basically 3 weekends to get this thing running, driving, stopping, road safe-ish, because we have Power Tour West coming up. I can't believe it's already been almost a year since the last Power Tour. Technically it was in December of last year, but this time it's in October. I'm not going to be able to do the long haul because it's during the week and I work during the week, but I will make it to Pomona. At least that's the plan with this guy. I took the wagon last year. I ran the wagon at Pomona. It was pretty awesome. It was also really slow. And the wagon is a great car. It made the trip no problems, and I'm sure it could do it again. But this year I want to get this thing going. I want to make sure I get it ran at Pomona because who knows how many times that we're going to be able to run there. It's already a big deal that we've had these small opportunities that we have. It's really hard to get public racing at Pomona, so it's a big deal. I'd like to get this thing going down there. So that's the plan, is to get this thing to Power Tour, which means a lot of work. And besides just getting it running, which I hope and think this thing will be running just fine, that's only one small part. We still have to make sure it stops, and it needs a new gas tank, which I have, but I do have to put it in, and that's about, you know, a few hour job, more because I actually have to empty the trunk of this thing. And then the last and most important thing besides brakes, gas, tank, and getting it running is the transmission. I have no idea if the transmission is good in this thing or not. So we're just going to hope it is. I've only had bad luck with 2 of these types of transmissions, so here's the 3rd. So anyways, let's get this thing going. Yep, that's exactly how I left it a while ago. Could be worse, but we do have a lot to do. I've got to finish hooking up all of the front accessories and water. We do have the bigger AC. Hey, why are you over there? Come on, get a little bit closer. Let's take a look at this thing. So as you can see, I actually have the 24-inch radiator because I have an AC system, and this is what would have come in an AC car. There is a little bit of a bad spot on this radiator that looks like it may or may not hold water. I'm hoping it does. If it doesn't, I'll go back to the radiator that was in before, or I'll get a radiator, not a big deal. But basically we have to do all of the front pulleys on this thing, hook up the radiator, hook up the heater hoses, which I'm not going to run like they are. I'm actually just going to loop them. We have to get valve covers on this thing, which I do actually have some nice, new to me, used, really nasty, powered by Ford, like 5-liter aluminum valve covers. I like my aluminum valve covers, and these ones that are on it are in really bad shape. Only thing is I do have to get a PCV valve for one of them, and they have to get cleaned. So that's going to be what I do right now, is start cleaning the crap out of these things. Throw up the time lapse. Okay, this thing is finally ready to accept a carb, and thankfully I already put gaskets on there because I was worried that I didn't. So let's go ahead and take our carb, which is totally still full of gas. Oop, that I'm gonna get everywhere. And carefully set it on here and get gas just everywhere. Oh, okay. So took a minute, but I was able to make a flared end. I've never actually made a fully flared, double flared end before. I didn't even know I had the tool to do that, but we have it, and it's on. And so now, tighten that gas line. I need to put one on underneath to run to a gas tank. Fill it with water and valve covers, and I think that's pretty much it. All right, well, the wind is picking up, and I haven't gotten too much farther, I don't think, from whenever I last talked to you. As you can see, I've got a valve cover on, and I say a valve cover because I didn't realize I don't have the correct length bolts for the valve cover, and so I am actually 3 short of the correct size I need. So we've got one on, but the other one's going to have to wait, and it's too bad. I did put the harder one on because there's a lot more going on over here with the hoses and everything. And it's kind of too bad that I've got this ugly bypass hose hooked up right now, because I do have the heater hoses that I could hook up, but honestly, I don't entirely trust that it's going to be okay. So, but I've got one valve cover on, and it looks great. I've got the carb all hooked up. Everything's hooked up. The fuel line is tightened. I've got a fuel line over here that can run to a gas tank. So at this point, we can't put this valve cover on just yet. However, we can hook up the battery and crank it over, make sure we get the timing relatively close. I think it already is probably pretty close to where it needs to be, but we will verify. We'll make sure we get some compression on there, and so yeah, let's put the battery in. The wind is picking up a lot, so I apologize if you're getting buffeted. All right. And it seems to fit relatively okay on the Mustang here. Okay, and if we pull this, it should turn over, and it does. So I'm going to go ahead and put my finger down in the spark plug hole. One, 3, 7, 2. All right, that's better. 1, 3, 7, 2, 6, 5, 4. Yep. All right. And we'll see if it fires up. Yeah. It's only been like 6 months. Let's go. All right, let's see. Should be getting spark. And there's absolute total possibility that this coil is just bad. So, not surprised if that's the case. Like, at all. Still nothing. All right, it's the next day. I decided to give up on that whole ignition system. It was annoying, and I couldn't find a good coil. I just don't have any regular coils. So I'm going to do what I should have just started doing in the first place, since this is what I was going to do anyways, and do what everyone thinks I shouldn't do, probably, is run DuraSpark. But basically, I have a wiring harness that basically just goes right into the standard harness that's there, and converts to electronic ignition. Also, the control boxes, although everyone hates them, the control boxes have some controversy with people having them fail all the time, and when they fail, they just fail and there's no signs, they just go. And that's true. However, there are some benefits to DuraSpark, especially DuraSpark 2, which is the more refined version. And the boxes have a lot of good things about them, and one of the biggest being retarded spark on crank. So it retards the spark on crank, making it easier to start up, along with 60,000 volt sparks and stuff like that, or whatever the number is. I don't know. But anyways, I spent all morning cleaning and gathering these parts, and they're pretty much ready to go. And I'm actually putting in a whole different distributor. Normally I can just swap out guts, especially if I'm wanting to keep a correct distributor, but it turns out that distributor is from a 72, so it's not even date code correct anyways. So I'm putting this 68 Lincoln one in. I gotta take this tag off real quick, because it's not the right tag and I don't need it. But I had to search everywhere to find a large rotor, and actually stole this one off another truck I have. But basically, it's the wiring harness, and you need a coil, a wiring harness, and the internals. You can actually buy almost all these internals pretty easily. It's the wiring harness that if you don't have one of these and you have to make your own, it can be a little bit annoying. I think they do sell harnesses, but simply put, I'm just going to put this in. Well, I guess I should show you how to wire this up. If you watch my wagon video, I talked about it a little bit over there. I'm not a wiring guru. I asked my dad questions because he did this for 40 years. So he knows very much how DuraSpark goes together, and I will show you how it goes together to the best of my knowledge. All right, so the way this works is pretty simple. We've got our starter solenoid here. We've got our box, which we need to mount. And realistically, we're gonna mount this somewhere that has airflow. On this car, I'll probably mount it right in front of the battery over here where there's a vent for the battery. It depends on if I have enough wire length. If I do, I will mount it right over here. And then you have your harness, which one part of the harness goes over here to the solenoid, and one part, the part with your coil wires and your distributor plug, goes over to the distributor, and you kind of got to loop it around. You have to use a distributor with a resistor for this particular application, because there is a resistor in line for this Mustang, and so I need a coil with a resistor, which I have one that came from this exact, it actually was on this. This is my distributor plug. It's 3 wires. And then this plug over here that has a red wire and a black with white line or black with tan line, I can't tell what color it is, that plugs into the coil wire that comes from the ignition. So it just replaces this positive side and just plugs right onto here. This plugs into the distributor here. It only goes one way. And then you have your coil, which gets clipped on with this nifty little plug right here, and the coils have special clips on them for it. And then on this side, you have one wire that needs to hook up to the starter side, and I will bolt that down using this little itty bitty bolt, and we'll get this bolted on here. And then the other side plugs into the ignition side where your other ignition wire would go, and this then just doesn't get used anywhere, and I probably will tape it off so that it doesn't actually touch anything, because it will have power to it still. And then your starter wire goes back on where it goes. Grab a little wrench to tighten that. This one just goes right there. Okay, so it's pretty simple. It's not too complicated when you have all the harness. I could not explain to you what every wire does and which wire's which, and So the fun part about working on your own stuff is that you don't have to care how perfect it is. As long as you do what you want, you can do whatever. So now I just have to, I'm actually using these little stud, I don't even know what you'd call them, some sort of extender. They worked on my wagon, so I think they actually work pretty well on this. It spaces it away so that it has room for air to flow around and get to the battery, but it also allows it to have a somewhat secure attachment point. And I realized on my wagon I always meant to go back and put a third one on the bottom. Never did. So probably won't on this one either. So well, we got spark, so now we just need timing, because that definitely sparked. So let's put that back on. Oh, yeah, that might be it. Yeah, it wants to go. Battery just died on me, because everything seems to not be going my way. But anyways, you'll see this Mustang again next time, so stay tuned. At least it looks cool, sitting in my driveway. See ya. I don't want to fix freeze plugs.